First thing we have to do is to check the linearity of the scope. Or look, what we want ideally is a trace at about 45 degrees that's absolutely straight. In order to check the linearity of the scope, I'm going to be feeding a 1000 Hertz sine wave. So at the moment I'm feeding the output of the signal generator directly into the input of the scope, and here's that 1000 Hertz sine wave being displayed. So now I went one step further and I put the scope into the XY position, and here I'm the probe from the Y terminal here. I've also got that hooked up now to the input from the audio generator. So I'm running the X input and the Y input at the same time. And here's what I got after I did these hookups. Of course I had to fiddle around with the controls a little bit and with the signal level of the audio generator. You can see here I've got it all the way turned down. If I got it turned down too much and I'm fiddling with the controls, it's not going to look right. So I gotta turn that up like that, and that should do it. That's a pretty straight line, I'd say. That's going to be like my reference, which I'm going to use. I know that the scope now is operating pretty linear here. Now for the actual testing of the amplifier. I'm going to leave everything on the scope the way it's set up as it is for now. The only thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take the X terminal here, channel A. I'm going to hook up the scope probe. That's going to go to the output of the amplifier. It's going to go to the output of one of the channels of the amplifier. And the other one, I'm going to go ahead, the Y terminal, that's going to stay connected to the audio generator. And the signal from the audio generator is going to be fed into the back of the receiver, into the aux input. Now for the actual test connections for the amplifier. See, I've got my lead from the audio generator, which is going here into the aux input. I've got a little adapter here, cinch adapter, and I got the other side here. I've got your ground wire that's going in there. And now I'm going to take the Y probe from the oscilloscope, and it's going to be hooked up basically in parallel here with the audio generator. So that completes that hookup. As I said, this oscilloscope probe is coming from the Y terminal, and that's going to be like hooked up in parallel with the signal coming from the audio generator, which is going into the back of the receiver. And here I have the probe from the X terminal of the scope. That's now hooked up to basically to the dummy load, and these wires are of course coming back from the speaker terminals, running here through my 8 ohm dummy load. I've got it hooked up to one of the channels here, and this is in the 8 ohm position. I'm going to turn up the volume control all the way, which basically means that I'm driving the amp to its maximum rated power output, and I have the output of the signal generator that's turned down. And of course I have my amp in the aux position because I'm feeding in the signal in the back of the receiver that's going into the aux jack. So now I have to fiddle around with the controls. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start turning the audio generator up. Double check the volume. And here we go. Ideally, what we want is a perfectly straight line. So I'm going to continue fiddling with the controls now. Now I'm going to turn up the audio generator again. Fiddling with the controls again, and I'm going to keep turning up. Oh, you can see right there, now it's going into overload. A little bit more, then you'll have both sides. That's already, right there, that's already too far. Right here, starting to break out. Now if this breaks out early here, like say right there, then you really got a problem then. Like I said, ideally we want a straight line. So again, now if I turn up the audio generator, we're going to reach that critical point there, and I think that's what we used to call saturation. You can see there as the power output basically increases, so does the distortion. I don't want to run this like this too long. Before I fix the receiver again, since the other channel went out, I forgot to I forgot to film it actually, and this here was like straight, then it was broken off down at an angle. And this is how it looks if you've really got a problem.